The movie opened with Maria, who had been waiting for someone in a hotel room. She looked nervous and restless. Because of her anxiety, she kept checking her belongings and glancing at herself in the mirror. To calm her nerves, she even applied 2 face packs. After a while, there was a sound at the door. When Maria opened it, a handsome man named Sean was standing there. He had come to meet her at her request. As soon as he stepped inside, he kissed Maria on the cheek, which made her feel good. Sean was a man who used to make women happy for money, and that night Maria had come to find her own happiness with him. Maria felt glad to see him, but was still a bit nervous. Seeing the young and attractive Sean made her feel a little embarrassed about her age. Sean sensed her uneasiness and tried to make her feel comfortable. He asked her for a drink, and Maria took one out of the fridge. Sean handed it to her and complimented her. They both drank together and started talking. Maria complimented him, saying he looked even better than in his photos. Still feeling shy, she asked him about the payment. Sean said he had already received it. Maria then asked if he felt uncomfortable being with an older woman. Sean told her he didn't mind at all. Sean could tell Maria was still holding back, so he moved closer and kissed her. It eased some of her tension. Then he asked her about her fantasies, so he could please her in her own way. But Maria couldn't really answer. She just wanted him to do whatever he wanted quickly, so she could leave. Sean explained that it didn't work that way. He couldn't rush because he was supposed to spend the whole night with her. Maria told him that her husband had died 2 years earlier, and that he had always tried to please her the same way every time. Because of that, she never really felt anything. Never felt that spark that runs through a woman when a man touches her. From her words, Sean understood exactly what he needed to do. While talking, Maria walked toward the window and mentioned that she had been a teacher and had even written books about men like him. Then she asked why he did this kind of work. Sean didn't want to answer at first, but after she kept insisting, he told her he did it to pay for his college tuition. Hearing that made Maria feel good. She told him she had 2 children, a son and a daughter, but that neither of them really liked her much. After talking for a while, Sean kissed Maria again and tried to lead her toward the bed. But Maria didn't want to go yet. She wanted to know him better first. Maria kept talking while Sean continued asking her to come to bed. Before he could move any further, she asked him what the oldest woman was that he had ever been with. Sean said he had once been with an 82-year-old woman. Hearing that made Maria smile, since she was only half that age. She asked what he liked most about her. Sean pulled her close and told her he liked her lips. Then he started getting closer again, but Maria quickly ran off to the bathroom to change. She hurriedly changed her clothes and washed her face and hands. Meanwhile, Sean sat waiting for a long time, eating some chocolate while he waited. Maria had bought a special dress just for that night. She put it on but still looked nervous. Outside, Sean had already taken off his clothes and was completely ready, while Maria was still in the bathroom. After quite some time, when Maria finally came out, Sean was stunned when he saw her. Sean admired Maria's new dress the moment she came out. He smiled and told her she looked beautiful. Maria, a little shy but honest, told him that there was a strange smell coming from his mouth. Sean immediately realized it must have been the chocolate he had just eaten. When she suggested he should go and brush his teeth, he simply laughed, understanding her nervousness. A few minutes later, Sean could tell that Maria was actually scared. When he moved closer, Maria quietly said, "If you want to leave, you can. I won't take the money back." Sean gently assured her, "I'm not going anywhere until you're happy. That's my job." They sat together on the bed, wrapped in a soft silence. Sean tried to lighten the mood, and slowly Maria began to open up. Sean told her that he lived with his mother and that she knew nothing about his real work. She thought he worked in oil fields. Hearing that, Maria started talking about her own family. She told him that her son and daughter were both in college and that her late husband had never really cared for her. He would come home, eat, and go straight to sleep. He never asked what she wanted or how she felt. While talking about it, Maria's eyes filled with tears. She admitted that she wanted to start living freely again, to feel alive, not invisible. She shared how years ago she had met a waiter who had caught her attention, but even that brief connection had never turned into the love she longed for. Sean quietly listened, letting her speak her heart out. When she finally fell silent, he moved closer and held her, giving her comfort instead of words. That night, she felt peace for the first time in years. A few days later, Maria called Sean again. She told him that she had enjoyed spending time with him, not just because of his company, but because he had made her feel seen and alive. This time, Maria had even made a list of all the things she had never dared to do in her life. She wanted to experience them one by one. Sean smiled when she showed it to him, promising to help her reclaim her confidence. Maria started with the first thing on her list, though she was still nervous. Sean encouraged her gently, reminding her that she didn't have to rush anything. She could take her time to rediscover herself. Just as they were settling into a calm rhythm, Maria's phone rang. It was her daughter. Her daughter needed help with something, and Maria answered immediately, talking with concern. While she was on the phone, alone, Sean looked at himself in the mirror. For a moment, he seemed distant, tired of the life he was living just to earn money. When Maria returned, Sean noticed she looked worried. To cheer her up, he asked if she wanted to dance. Surprised but happy, Maria agreed. Sean played some music on his phone, and they began to dance together. Maria had told him earlier that she loved dancing, but had never danced with her husband. So Sean held her hand and led her gently across the room. For the first time in years, Maria smiled like a young woman again. They laughed, twirled, and forgot the world outside. It was the first time Maria had ever danced with someone who truly made her feel free. But soon, her phone rang again. It was her daughter once more. The moment broke their rhythm. Maria didn't want to answer, but Sean playfully said he could tell her daughter that her mom was busy. Maria stopped him with a smile and said she'd handle it herself. After the call, she came back, calmer than before. Seeing that she looked tired, Sean suggested giving her a massage to help her relax. She nodded, and he began to gently massage her shoulders. For the first time, Maria allowed herself to simply breathe, to let go, and to feel cared for, not out of obligation, but out of warmth. That night ended not in passion, but in peace. Two lonely souls finding comfort in each other's presence. As Sean continued giving Maria a gentle massage, he said softly, "You should book me for a longer time. Maybe being around me will help with your loneliness." Maria smiled sadly. "I wish I could," she said, "but I don't have that kind of money to keep calling you." She seemed fascinated by his confidence and youth. When he took off his shirt at her request, she was momentarily taken aback. She had never seen anyone so young and strong up close. It made her realize how much time had passed since she had felt anything like this. Sean noticed her looking at her reflection in the mirror with discomfort. She whispered, "I don't think I'm beautiful anymore. I'm old now, my youth is gone." Sean stepped closer and said gently, "That's not true. You're still beautiful. You just have to see yourself the way I see you." To lift her spirits, he suggested they play a small game, something lighthearted to make her laugh. But Maria didn't find it amusing. Instead, she became emotional again and began to cry quietly. Seeing that, Sean decided to distract her with stories about his other clients, women he had helped feel confident and happy again. As they talked, they poured themselves a drink and began to relax. Their conversation became more open. Sean shared more about his work, the kind of people he met, how lonely most of them were, and how he often ended up being more of a listener than anything else. Maria, too, began to open up. She spoke honestly about her desires, her loneliness, and the things she had never experienced in her life. The two spent hours talking, laughing at times, getting emotional at others, until the heaviness between them lifted. That night, they grew closer emotionally, finding comfort in each other's company. Over time, their meetings continued, and something began to change. Sean started to care for Maria in a way he hadn't expected, and Maria, too, began to feel affection for him that went beyond just companionship. One rainy evening, Maria invited Sean again. She had a list of things she wanted to do in her life, things she had never dared to try before, and she wanted to share that with him. As the rain tapped softly on the windows, they sat together, talking warmly. Maria asked Sean to tell his mother about his real job, saying it might help him heal. But Sean became tense. He didn't want to talk about his mother. Maria, curious and perhaps a bit too bold, revealed that she knew his real name. "When I first booked you," she said gently, "I looked you up. I wanted to know who you really are." Sean froze. His expression hardened. "You had no right to do that," he said sharply. He hated when anyone pried into his personal life. His anger boiled over, and he stood up to leave. As he reached the door, he turned and said coldly, "Don't ever call me again. I'm not coming back." Maria, her voice breaking, pleaded with him to stay. "Please," she said, "I didn't mean to hurt you." But as Sean opened the door, she called out his real name, and that made him furious. He turned back, his face filled with rage and hurt. "You think you know me?" he shouted. You don't. You don't know anything about what I've been through." He told her the truth, that his real name was Conan, and that his relationship with his mother had fallen apart years ago. When he was still a student, his mother had discovered something about his private life, and since that day, they hadn't spoken. "I started doing this to survive," he said bitterly, "to pay for my life, for my freedom. For her, I'm already dead." And with that, Sean, or Conan, walked out of the room, leaving Maria standing alone in silence, tears welling in her eyes as the sound of rain filled the emptiness around her. After Sean left, Maria felt deeply hurt and empty. The silence in the room felt heavy, as if all the air had gone with him. But just a few minutes later, the door opened again. Sean had come back. He had forgotten his phone. He looked around angrily, throwing things aside as he searched for it, his frustration spilling out in every movement. Maria stood quietly watching him. Finally, he found his phone, looked at her one last time, and said in a cold voice that he would return her money. Without another word, he walked out again. A few days later, Maria sat alone in a hotel lounge. She had called Sean, asking him to meet her there. While she waited, one of her former students, a young woman named Anna, appeared unexpectedly. Anna now worked there as a waitress. Caught off guard, Maria quickly lied to avoid suspicion. "I'm waiting for a customer," she said. "I'm planning to sell him my car." A few minutes later, Sean arrived. It was clear he had come only because Maria had asked him several times. Maria smiled nervously and said, "I'm sorry for how I behaved before. And thank you for coming." She told him that she had even told one of her friends about him, that she trusted him. Sean listened quietly, then said, "I told my mother everything about what I do, and she didn't care. She didn't even react." Maria looked at him with surprise and warmth. "I'm glad," she said softly. "You know, being with you, it made me feel alive again. You did things for me, emotionally, that I never thought were possible." Just then, Anna walked up again. Maria smiled at her and decided not to hide anymore. "Anna," she said, "this is Sean. He's not a client. He's a wonderful person I've been seeing for a month now." Anna looked surprised, but Maria continued, "I rent a hotel room just to meet him, to talk, to feel alive again. I've learned something important, to live freely, without shame." She turned to Anna and said, "You should live like that too. Enjoying life isn't wrong. It's a kind of miracle that everyone deserves." Later, Maria and Sean went upstairs to the hotel room to spend some quiet time together. There was no pretense now, just two people finding comfort and companionship. Sean didn't take any payment from her that day. Instead, he was simply there as someone who cared. When their time together ended, both of them knew it would be their last meeting. Maria finally understood that Sean had brought her something priceless: confidence, peace, and the ability to love herself again. As Sean said goodbye and left, Maria stood before the mirror. For the first time in many years, she looked at her reflection and smiled. She no longer felt afraid, ashamed, or alone. She finally saw herself strong, free, and beautiful. And that was the end of their story.